Hello everybody. This is another model of the human brain that can be used on your lab exam. So this model has different colors that allow us to better understand functional anatomy of the brain. So when you look at this major part of the brain, we already know it's called cerebrum. So cerebrum, it has this ridges, right? Kind of part of the cortex that goes up, and then it has these lines. So these ridges are called gyri, and those lines are called sulci. So one gyrus, two gyri, one sulcus, several sulci. Now this arrangement of the cerebral cortex increases the surface area of the cortex. We also use these landmarks to separate cerebral cortex into different lobes. So this line over here, right in the middle, is called central sulcus, and central sulcus separate frontal lobe from parietal lobe. Now we have another sulcus over here that is right here, and we call it lateral sulcus, and it separates parietal and frontal lobe from temporal lobe. There is another sulcus over here, and it's right here, and it's called parietal occipital sulcus, and it separates parietal lobe from occipital lobe. Now also, if you look at the cerebrum, we can see this prominent fissure that separate cerebral cortex and cerebrum into two hemispheres, right and left hemisphere. And also this is another fissure over here that is transverse fissure, separates cerebrum from cerebellum. Okay. So also this is two gyri. This called precentral gyrus, and this called postcentral gyrus. And precentral gyrus is a primary motor area, and postcentral gyrus is primary somatosensory area. This green part over here is called prefrontal cortex. This brown part is called premotor cortex. I already told you that this blue part is primary somatosensory cortex, and this yellow part is sensory association cortex. Over here, on the very tip of occipital lobe is a primary visual cortex, and this part is visual association cortex. Also, this part over here, found in the temporal lobe, this is primary auditory cortex, and surrounding it, this part is called Wernicke's area, and Wernicke's area is responsible for understanding of the language. Over here, this is our cerebellum, or little brain. So if we turn this model, we can also see here this part that is diencephalon, and this is thalamus and hypothalamus. We can see over here this part of the brain stem that is midbrain. This is pons, and this is medulla oblongata, and these three structures make a brain stem. Also, you can see this part. This is corpus callosum, and corpus callosum structure that connects right and left cerebral hemispheres. Now this part over here is called fornix, and what fornix does, it connects all the limbic nuclei together. Now this structure over here, this is called septum pellucidum, and this is a septum that separates two lateral ventricles. So behind this septum we have lateral ventricle. Now right between two thalami we have the third ventricle, and this is the fourth ventricle over here. Now this part is called cerebral aqueduct, and it's connected third ventricle with the fourth ventricle, right? And then this part over here became central canal of the spinal cord. Also in the cerebellum, we can see that cerebellum also has cortex made from the cell bodies and dendrites, and this white part over here, this is the white matter of the cerebellum, and it's called arbor vitae. Also, this part over here, this is optic chiasma. This part is infundibulum, and this is where pituitary gland will be attached. Now also this part over here, this, let me see, I'm not sure that if it's a pineal gland or not. I'll show you, because it can be posterior commissure, and this is anterior commissure. This part over here, this is a part of midbrain that is called Corpora Quadrigemina, and it's made from superior colliculi and inferior colliculi. So I think that's it for this model. So again, let's review what we covered so far. So this is the central sulcus, this is precentral gyrus, postcentral gyrus, primary motor area, primary somatosensory area, frontal lobe, prefrontal cortex, premotor cortex, that is brown. So primary somatosensory area and sensory association area, primary visual cortex, visual association cortex. This one, it's a primary auditory cortex and Wernicke's area over here. Also, on this side, we can see corpus callosum, fornix, septum pellucidum that separate lateral ventricles, thalamus. This is, by the way, called interthalamic adhesion or intermediate mass, hypothalamus, optic chiasma, pituitary stalk or infundibulum, midbrain with corpora quadrigemina, superior colliculi, inferior colliculi, pons, medulla, fourth ventricle, cerebral aqueduct, arbor vitae. I think that's it for this model. Thank you for watching, and make sure you study all these parts for your lab exam.